Mm, Good evening, everyone. Just gonna uncrookeded this thing a little bit. Welcome to the show. It's a flawed man of God, and I am your host, Stuart Davis. I'm a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor, I'm not a biblical scholar, and I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do is talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about Christianity, talk about the Bible, talk about a wide variety of topics, issues, and current events, and give you my perspective on them, one that I think is reflective of your average Christian guy. I've been a Christian all my life, 40 years non denominational Protestant. Um, don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination. I'm just in the word daily, trying to do it better each and every day. Some days I'll do it better, and other days I won't. But either way, you're going to see me giving you my honest takes on things every time I stream. So, if you are somebody who is interested in learning more about Jesus, if you are curious about Christianity, want to know what all this faith is about, maybe there's a voice in the back of your mind wondering if there's more to your existence than just your life here on earth. And to that I say, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Big reason why I started this channel in the first place is to reach you folks, to help give you some insight, some perspective, give you some impressions. Because if you do, for some reason, believe me in what I say, um, this might help give you an idea of somebody you might run into if you do start to go to church. And I want to provide this very comfortable, very relaxed format with a layperson approach so that you're not seeing somebody on a pulpit, somebody who's a professional at what they do. This and um, give you more of the sights from somebody who is in the pews, who's been in the who sits in Sunday school, who reads the book and doesn't have a Greek translation next to them, or or all sorts of resources at their disposal to try to make sense of everything. No, scripture is very much something that is simple. God makes a lot of things in life simple, and so hopefully, this simple approach will help alleviate any questions you have, or maybe it'll pique your curiosity enough to continue. Whatever it does, I hope it springboards you into a path reflective of Christ, and that you give yourself to Him. But if you're already a Christian and you just enjoy Christian topics and discussions, welcome as well. Wherever you land on this faith spectrum, I want you to join the chat. If you don't want to, that's fine, but I encourage you to do so. We have a great group of folks who tune in and night out and give us their impressions. We run this very similar to a Wednesday night study group or a Sunday school where we all try to know each other. We talk about some off-topic stuff as well before we get into the meat and potatoes of the content. And the content is the word, the faith, and God. With that said, how's everybody doing? How is everybody doing? I've been streaming. This is consistency. Long missed consistency, going in and out. And it's just the thing that life happens. But it's good when things settle down enough to where you can grab that consistency back. I like I like it. Right? It's nice to spice things up with a little bit of here, adventure here, some excitement there. But otherwise I like things to stay pretty even. Pretty even. I don't know. I like that before kids. I just like consistency. It helps me. Consistency and routine helps me in my ADHD settle down. But how's everybody doing? Nico is here and and commenting more than just once. Late and Bud Light. We don't Bud Light here. We don't Bud Light here, sir. I'm not even really that big of a beer drinker to begin with. But if I drink a beer, it's probably gonna be like a Michelob Ultra or a Corona. That's really where I go to. So there where I go. Alias is here. Alias, long time coming, but glad to see you back in the chat. Always good to see you there. Matt Felty, also great. And Blaine. Blaine's got some import fetish with vehicles. It's constantly questionable, right? I'm an automotive enthusiast. I like domestics, I like imports, I like the European cars. It just make a good car that is enjoyable and fun to drive and performs well. And I'm a fan of it. Unless it's ugly. Or a Mitsubishi. I don't like Mitsubishis. So there you go. Blaine, you would have loved the look on my son's face when we rode in my brother-in-law's 911. The first time he'd been in any type of car that goes that fast. And we were down in Florida and we were going to Best Buy. I think we're just going to Best Buy. You had to get on the interstate. And this is down near West Palm Beach. So he gets on the interstate and I mean, I'm there. My son's in the back seat. He knows. He knows what needs to happen. And then he puts us in our seats and I turn around and I look at my son and he's great. It's great. Yeah, 9/11. Never forget him. Never forget him. Dude, that thing is a monster. That's so fun. That car was so fun to ride in. No, Alias. No, we don't talk about it. We don't talk about the Prius here. I don't care what they do to it. You could put the Gatling gun, the Vulcan cannon from an A10 on a Prius, and it's still garbage. Nine 911s are beautiful. I've always loved the 911. Always loved just the traditional Porsche bug eye look. You could even say that maybe Subaru stole a bit of that look when they first brought the WRX stateside. They aren't as good looking as they were. They weren't as good as the late 80s, early 90s. I think those were my favorites. You know, the very well-defined bug-eyed Porsches, but they're still just sleek. Great lines. Great lines. All right. What else is going on, guys? Matt Felty, doing well, thanks. How are you? I'm doing great. Doing great. Glad to see you in here. All right. Well, there's not a whole lot of small talk for me other than some car talk. Because I'm streaming consistently. So there's not a whole lot of stuff that's going on in the meantime. Lekar, Yugo for getting the best. There was a Top Gear episode back when Top Gear was great back in the back in the original Trio days, where they had a race for between these like three Eastern Bloc cars, and there was like a wild dog where they were filming, and when they went off to take the race, the dog was faster than the three cars. That's one of my that is just one of my favorite scenes in the Top Gear history was they raced these things. And the dog was running faster than the cars. It beat them in the race. That's a great show, guys. Nate's talking about cars. Supposed to pick one up tomorrow. What kind of car are you getting? I have opinions on lots of cars. I'll enjoy minivans. I enjoy pickup trucks. All of them. Get a topic for Friday. Maybe talk a little bit about the Tucker thing. Maybe talk a little bit about the Disney thing. The Disney thing is interesting because we talk about some government, and we talk about Disney's continual encroachment or continual march towards open pedophilia. It feels like, right? Like openly, unashamedly doing so. Talk about government cheese. Government cheese, disgusting. The kind I've had came out of an MRE. Subaru Forester. Look, me and Blaine talk a bunch of junk to each other, but one thing we both appreciate is a good Subaru. Do appreciate a good Subaru. Before I had my Stinger, my WRX was the best handling car I'd ever owned. And it was fun to drive in any weather condition, period. I drove that thing in a daggone monsoon. How about talking about Tucker going to Disney? That would be unsettling to see. I don't know if that would be encouraging or not. Tucker did come out, and this might be something I talk about a little bit because Tucker gave a speech where he was talking about his Episcopalian upbringing. You know what? We will touch on that tomorrow. Well, maybe we'll start off with that, and then we'll lead into Disney. But Tucker gave a speech recently, and he basically said, I grew up Episcopalian. We're the most watered down. We're not even Christian anymore. I mean, he is very honest about him, about that brand of Christianity. Because when you become that modernized, that egalitarian, there ain't a whole lot of the word left. There ain't a whole lot of obedience left. Dresden, what's up? I don't even know. Nath, what is the new Newspeak? What does this stand for? I hate asking this question. What is this news? What is this new Newspeak that you speak of? Actually, I take that back to earlier. The jalapeno cheese was not that bad, especially if you were hungry. To get the jalapeno cheese in the MRE is pretty good. What you wanted was peanut butter. What you wanted was peanut butter. What you did not want was hot dogs. Marines called them the death dicks. Oh, Deals Gap. This man knows what I'm talking about. Big. To me, that sounds worse. This sounds worse. Youth is worse than minor because it makes it sound younger. I mean, minor, you're thinking of a legal definition, but if you're thinking of a young person, you're thinking of a child. Ugh. Deals Gap, Tail of the Dragon. That's in North Carolina, right? It is. Let me pull this up, folks. Deals Gap is the place, Blaine. If you ever really want to have fun on a car, in a car, where's the map? Here, let me go ahead and share. They are suing Florida. They're suing Florida because they're getting their special treatment taken away. Oh no. Which is that's the thing, right? Is it okay, here we go. All right. Maps. Area maps. We're talking about area maps. Is it sending me somewhere else? It just sends me back there. What a terrible website this is, by the way. Anyway, you see up this 318 curves and 11 miles. About us. Dragon's Den Grill, Tree of Shame. Look, they don't even have the. There we go. Tree of Shame. You know what? Hang on. I can't believe it. This is so dumb. Deals Gap's been like a big deal for image results on yeah. Oh, I'm in Brave right now. Here we go. Check that out. That's 11 miles. Goodness, right there. All I have to do is do this. This is Peep Killboy's side if he's a. Anyway, I was supposed to take this down with my Gixxer 1000 when we first got back from Iraq. I was supposed to be right after my break-in period. We were supposed to do it, but I forget what happened, and we just never got the trip together. It was supposed to be a bunch of us from Iraq. There's the cheap tree of shame right there. All your fairings and all the things that you tear up when you crash, you put it on the street. You put it on the tree of shame. What else we got? Anyway, they call it the Tail of Dragons. Great. There used to be a great picture on the website, and the guy is in a gold wing, and he's got and he's in a full lean, and he's got a Yorkie Terrier sitting on a real one, sitting on the gas tank, and it's just chilling. It was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. Scrolling for it, I can't find it. Oh well. Oh well. Deals Gap's the best. They've from what I understand though, I don't know when you went to it, Matt. I know that they were trying to kind of slow people down on there. I know that I'd heard that the state police had gotten involved in trying to crank down on that. But I haven't been out there in forever. That I would love to take the stinger out, and that would be great. All right. Okay. Here we go. Enough of that. Let's get into Chronicles 7. All right. Last left off, dedicating the temple. Solomon makes this great speech. It's a prayer to God, but it's a praise to God. But it's also a reminder to the Israelites that we still have a covenant. It's not just God fulfilling this covenant. There's also responsibility from us. So much of what we do is focusing, and I'm not saying we do this on this channel, but in life, so much of what we focus on has to do with, if you're in the faith, being kind of fixated on God's blessings for us. And we often forget that there is requirements of us. They're mild in comparison. It's definitely not it's definitely a more one-sided deal. But what is a good covenant? What is a good agreement? A good agreement is when both sides are getting what they want. And what father wants more than to see their kids succeed? To help them, to coach them along while they navigate life, their existence, all of that. So, really, the only losers are the folks who decide not to partake in this deal. And it's a sad thing, getting sidetracked. But he leaves that there. They have moved the ark into the temple, and the Lord fills it with his presence. A great cloud appears. They can't see anything that's going on in the most holy place. And so upon that, Solomon gets on stage, says what he says in kind of Moses fashion. And there we will continue. And tonight, we're gonna finish up the celebration, this dedication, this tribute to God, and this grand opening of Solomon's temple. And we're also going to start moving on from that and into the rest of Solomon's reign. So here we go in chapter 7, the dedication of the temple. When Solomon finished praying, fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of the Lord filled the temple. The priests could not enter the temple of the Lord because the glory of the Lord filled it. When all the Israelites saw the fire coming down and the glory of the Lord above the temple, they knelt on the pavement with their faces to the ground, and they worshiped and gave thanks to the Lord, saying, "He is good. His love endures forever." Seems to be their theme. If I remember correctly, they said that earlier in chapter 5. I mean, it's true, right? Then the king and all the people offered sacrifices before the Lord. And King Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 head of cattle and 120,000 sheep and goats. That's ridiculous. So the king and all the people dedicated the temple of God. The priests took their positions, as did the Levites, with the Lord's musical instruments, which King David had made for praising the Lord, and which were used when he gave thanks, saying, His love endures forever. Opposite the Levites, the priests blew their trumpets, and all the Israelites were standing. Solomon consecrated the middle part of the courtyard in front of the temple of the Lord, and there he offered burnt offerings and the fat of the fellowship offerings, because the bronze altar he had made could not hold the burnt offerings, the grain offerings, and the fat portions. This sounds delicious. I started eating at we got a Peruvian chicken place that's been open for a while, but I hadn't been to it until this week. I've been twice now. Had that rotisserie yard bird. Too good. So good. Anyway, the fat portions. So Solomon observed the festival at that time for 7 days, and all Israel with him, a vast assembly, people from Lebo Hamath to the Wadi of Egypt. That's pretty good. That's a pretty wide amount of guests, of attendees. On the 8th day, they held an assembly, for they had celebrated the dedication of the altar for 7 days and the festival for 7 days more. I told you there was a party. On the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people to their homes, joyful and glad in heart for the good things the Lord had done for David and Solomon and for his people Israel. And daggone it, what's not to like? Well, if you're Satan and in his ilk, you probably don't like any of this. Or you're viewing it as an opportunity. But for the people of Israel, man, this is a time of great joy, because we're seeing the manifestation of another promise kept, even though, as we've read, the Israelites haven't done the best job. They haven't done the best job keeping up their end of the bargain, going all the way back to Abraham. Abraham did a good job. Let's take it back to Moses, right? Take it back to Moses and the Exodus. They have been terrible at this game. Not to say they haven't had good bright patches, but man, I mean, it's like, it feels like it's 50-50. That's not 50% on a test is a failing grade, guys. Well, it used to be. I don't know what it is with new public schools. There you go. Matt talking about Tail of Dragon. Yeah, it's been squashed for speed more than 10 years ago. That's a shame. Alias. Could you imagine if that happened to us now? I can imagine. All you need to do is go to Twitter to see the different reactions that you're going to get. Even people who are within the faith. I don't know. I don't know, as a culture, as a society, if we have the capacity to be this happy together. And that's a sad thing, right? That's a sad thing to think about and to take. Now, granted, this isn't worldwide. There's a lot of people in Israel, but there's way more people in the United States. If we're just taking the United States as an example, we have forgotten in our blessings. We have forgotten so much of who we really need to be thankful to for these blessings, and to be thankful to them, and not just say, ha, it exists. We have it. I was born into privilege, and I'm just going to take advantage of all this. And then I'll come up with petty things to complain about and make that my entire life. I don't I don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing that because and ultimately when people are like act like that, there becomes the desire to placate that whining. Now some things are genuinely cause strife. Cancer, um, feuding between families, abuse, addiction. These things are serious. But man, we are some thin-skinned, easily offended, um, just sissies and malcontents and ingrates. No matter what happens. Seems like there's always this balancing act. I try to be as optimistic and happy as possible. I try to count my blessings as much as possible and give credit where credit is due. God giving me the opportunity, guiding me in the right ways, helping me by his day-to-day intervention or scripture that he's given me, put me in a place where I can have all the things I could ask for and then some. But that doesn't mean that if things don't go my way, I still don't get pissed off like a whiny little baby myself. I try to muscle through. You try to be a man, but sometimes you're just annoyed. But it's good to see. It's good to see these folks partying. Except for one problem. We know where this ends. So, just enjoy it while it lasts. Blaine said, "Oh baby, Peruvian." Dude, where have these people been? I guess in Peru, but this food is good. This food is good. That chicken is good. It's not spicy, which I like spicy chicken. It's just seasoned differently. And I'm not usually a rotisserie person. I like rotisserie with the skin. But dude, I could tear this chicken up. Matt said, yes, a big contrast to the memorial stones from the Jordan River as well. Yet those remain and the temple is gone. Almost as if God didn't want that temple standing and around anymore. There were some issues with the buses from Peru a few years back. All right. So they have a great festival. People coming from all over the place. Everybody's happy. The Lord appears to Solomon. When Solomon had finished the temple of the Lord in the royal palace, and we saw how big that whole, let's call it the estate, that whole estate was. Finished the temple of the Lord in the royal palace and had succeeded in carrying out all he had in mind to do in the temple of the Lord and in his own palace. The Lord appeared to him at night and said, I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place for myself as a temple for sacrifices. When I shut up the heavens so that there is no rain, or command locusts to devour the land, or send a plague among my people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayers offered in this place. I have chosen and consecrated this temple so that my name may be there forever. My eyes and my heart will always be there. God's talking almost like he knows that these people are broken, just like us. And he goes, there's going to be punishment. There's going to be a time when you guys need to be put in your place. But if you admit what you did was wrong, humble yourselves, be faithful, and return to your righteous ways, the ways I laid down for you. I'll be here listening. As for you, if you walk before me faithfully as David your father did, and do all I command, and observe my decrees and laws, I will establish your royal throne, as I covenanted. Is that a word? As I covenanted with David your father when I said, "You shall never fail to have a successor to rule over Israel." Asterisk. There is an asterisk. There is a. There is a. There is some fine. Uh, there is some subscript to that. There's some fine print. And here it is. But if you turn away and forsake the decrees and commands I've given you, and go off to serve other gods and worship them or tolerate them, then I will uproot Israel from my land, which I have given them, and will reject this temple I have consecrated for my name. I will make it a byword and an object of ridicule among all peoples. This temple will become a heap of rubble. Matthew. This temple will become a heap of rubble. All who pass by will be appalled and say, "Why has the Lord done such a thing to this land and to this temple?" People will answer, "Because they have forsaken the Lord, the God of their ancestors who brought them out of Egypt, and have embraced other gods, worshiping and serving them. That is why he brought all this disaster on them." Imagine my shock. So God says basically, hey, here's a reminder of all these things. You know it. I know it. The Israeli people know it, or the Israelite people know it. And there you go. Solomon's other activities. At the end of 20 years, during which Solomon built the temple of the Lord in his own palace, Solomon rebuilt the villages that Hiram had given him and settled Israelites in them. Solomon then went to Hamath Zobah and captured it. He built up Tadmor in the desert and all the store cities he had built in Hamath. He rebuilt Upper Beth Horon and Lower Beth Horon as fortified cities, with walls and with gates and bars, as well as Baalath and all his store cities, and all the cities for his chariots and for his horses, whatever he desired to build in Jerusalem, in Lebanon, and throughout the territory he ruled. And there were still people left from the Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. These people were not Israelites. Who wrote this? Of course they're not. Solomon conscripted the descendants of all these people remaining in the land, whom the Israelites had not destroyed, to serve as slave labor, as it is to this day. Well, not to this day. But Solomon did not make slaves of the Israelites for his works. They were his fighting men, commanders of his captains, and commanders of his chariots and charioteers. They were also King Solomon's chief officials, 250 officials supervising the men. Emmanuel said, "I made it on time, beautiful." Catching it on the back end. Might want to go back about 2-3 minutes when we were talking about the, maybe it's longer than that. I don't know, Emmanuel. We were talking about where Solomon's temple is now, and what it used to look like, and what it looks like now, and why it does. Solomon brought Pharaoh's daughter up from the city of David to the palace he had built for her, for he said, "My wife must not live in the palace of David, king of Israel, because the places the ark of the Lord has entered are holy." Who? She's not an Israelite. And she's Pharaoh's daughter. She probably worships Egyptian gods, demons, idols. Tricksy. False. On the altar of the Lord that he had built in front of the portico, Solomon sacrificed burnt offerings to the Lord, according to the daily requirements for offerings commanded by Moses for the Sabbaths, the new moons, and the 3 annual festivals, the festival of unleavened bread, the festival of weeks, and the festival of tabernacles. In keeping with the ordinance of his father David, he appointed the divisions of the priests for their duties, and the Levites to lead the praise and to assist the priests according to each day's requirement. He also appointed the gatekeepers by divisions for the various gates, because this is what I lost my spot. Because this was what David, the man of God, had ordered. They did not deviate from the king's commands to the priests or to the Levites in any manner, including that of the treasuries. Very important. The treasury is the most tempting. All Solomon's work was carried out. From the day the foundation of the temple of the Lord was laid until its completion, so the temple of the Lord was finished. Then Solomon went to Ezion Geber and Elath on the coast of Edom. And Hiram sent him ships commanded by his own men, sailors who knew the sea. These, with Solomon's men, sailed to Ophir and brought back 450 talents of gold, which they delivered to King Solomon. How much is that? 17 tons of gold. And there we have it. Next, we're going to be talking about more about Solomon and then what happens after him. That'll be Monday. Because tomorrow we've got Open Topic Friday. And depending on what Blaine's doing, maybe I show up on Blaine's show. Depending on what he's doing. We'll see. I also might want to go to bed early. I don't know. Something like that. Anyway, y'all, this is really important. This is a really important part of history when it comes to Christianity. We're looking at the early society built somewhat. I'm talking about tomorrow, Blaine. Built somewhat on the foundations that God laid. The laws are still there. However, we have the added layer of the king and his bureaucracy and government. This is kind of at its zenith. It's going to go downhill. It's not going to go straight. It's not going to go straight downhill. And for Israel, it's going to go pretty consistently downhill. For Judah, it's going to go up and down, but it's just going to gradually make its way down. Solomon's temple is a work of man. It's in many ways it's the opposite of the Tower of Babel. It's not God. It's not mankind trying to build a temple to reach to become God or to show God how powerful we are. This is more of a humble, thankful work. The opulence done in it is not a look at me. It's a you. This is as good as we can do. We can make this as opulent, decorated, valuable as possible, and it's still not good enough for you. But please accept it because it's the best we can do. And from there, they are going to go about the business that God has put us on as far as making up for our mistakes, being thankful for what we have, etc. What we see happen in Solomon's aftermath is a lot of perverting of this temple. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. To the point where it was disgusting. And it's supposed to be a holy place. You know, if you don't treat a holy place as holy, it ceases to be holy, right? or it loses that feel to it, and God's disrespected. And we'll focus someone on that. It's like what you spoke of Tuesday, a grand tribute. A grand tribute. And so let's keep Solomon's temple in mind as we touch on it again throughout Chronicles, because I think we're going to be revisiting it a couple of more times before this book is complete. And there you have it. All right. Guys, think of topics you want to talk about tomorrow. Like I said, I've got a couple planned, but I'm always open. I'm always open to more. Emmanuel says the Tower of Babel and the temple that Solomon make are two completely different things. Yes, the Tower of Babel was the foolish pride of man, seeing what we could do with our own power. Exactly. Exactly. Both involved men coming together to build something, but so much different in the purposes and the goals of each. And there you have it. All right, guys, been a nice stream. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you like what's going on here, support the show, give me the likes, and share the stream. Share the stream, put it on, if you've got Facebook, put it on Facebook. If you got Twitter, share it on Twitter. If you comment on other live streams or whatnot, dude, throw it out there. That's the support. That's the support that works for me. Not money. This is not a go to my locals. This isn't a subscribe to my whatever. Other people do that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not what I need. This is a hobby for me. And you guys make this more than just a hobby. You make it a great hangout. And I know it's not just for me, because you guys wouldn't keep coming back if it wasn't good for you as well. So thank you guys. Once again, as always, Emmanuel, Nernath, Matt, Blaine, Nico, Alias, Dresden. I think that might be the whole crew. It's the whole crew tonight. Thank you guys for commenting. Thank you for giving me the better comment, the better content because of your participation. Guys, if you're listening, thank you for lending me your ears. If you're catching this on the replay, hey, glad to see that. And hope you keep coming back. But like I said, we're trying to grow the community. And we want to see that expand. Want more folks in the chat. Not to say that I don't mind you guys, and if it didn't grow, it's still going to be great. But what do we want? We want more impact, right? We want more people affected. We want more people like Emmanuel, who says, I've got this faith, and now I'm learning more about my faith now, and also softening my heart a bit where maybe it's too hard, but also being encouraged to stand on my principles, because principles are important, right? All right, guys. So tomorrow night, remember, flexible on timing with that, because I do a lot of family stuff on Friday, and it's been a few Fridays since I've been able to do that, especially since I was in Philly last Friday. And there you have it. All right, y'all. And with that said, you guys have a wonderful night. We're closing up shop a little bit earlier, and I have a feeling it might be like that for some of these chapters as we go through Second Chronicles. Just because we're rehashing a lot, and when we hit stuff that maybe we didn't touch on, or expands a little bit much more, or frankly, if I just forgotten about it, we might perseverate on it more. But once we get to Ezra and Nehemiah, that's a whole new that we are actively in the exile. All right. In the meantime, guys, y'all take it easy. Be safe. Be good. Say prayers. Good night and God bless.